understanding those geopolitical challenges, what it means. And my particular topic will be on supply chain that we'll chat about in a minute. But it's great to be back, Val, with you and the team.
Joe, over to you. Thank you, Norma.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Val, for including me in the program. This will be my second trip to Davos for the week of the World Economic Forum, and I was happy to get to participate with CFF in 2020 in the dialogue there. And I'm excited to go back because it really does bring together a different group of people to the conversation than I've seen in other contexts. I've been involved in cybersecurity since 1995, I guess. So my whole adult professional career, including 8 years with the Department of Justice in the United States government, and then a bunch of years in tech companies running security programs, and now in the nonprofit space, helping the people of Ukraine deal with the humanitarian impact of the war there. And I'm looking forward to the conversation that I'm going to be leading, which is called Cyber During Global Conflicts. And I think that what we've been going through in the last couple of years has really made people wonder what's actually happening when it comes to the cyber side of these physical world conflicts, whether they're actual war or talk of war, what's happening on the cyber side. And it turns out there's a lot, and it's not covered that much. And I'm happy that we have a good panel of people with different perspectives that should shed some light on this, I think, important topic.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Sri, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Val, and thanks, Joe and Norma. Really excited to be a part of this, esteemed group of people. I've known Val and CFF and the great work that CFF, specifically CFD, has been doing for many years now. And I've always wanted to, go spend some time on some of these very important topics. And when I saw this year's agenda, a couple of different themes really stuck, home with me. And a little bit of background in terms of background. 18 years in, of overall experience. 15 of those, like Joe said, all my adult life, I've basically worked in cybersecurity. So started my cybersecurity career 2005, 2024 now, about 19 years. So the first couple of years I was building, solutions to go help protect. It was much easier and a much simpler world back then, and that also happens to be a part of my panel that I'm excited about. And then the last 15 of the 19 years I've been on the vendor side of things. So for lack of a better term, call it move to the dark side. So I'm the pesky guy that calls Joe to buy things. But but from that perspective, being at various vendors, Qualys, some startups, early stage startups, being an integral part of the go-to-market machine. More recently, I was at Palo Alto Networks, and now I'm actually, heading what I call the trifecta of the value function, value creation, value expansion, value retention at Balbix, right? And when I said, speaking of themes, the one theme that really got me excited, is around the elevated role of CISOs in the modern organization and the enterprise, right? And I have a small, anecdote to share, right? I mean, I did my first RSA in 2005 when I was a part of Qualys. It had less than 250 vendors. We could basically get everyone into this, convention center here down in San Jose, McHenry Convention Center. Fast forward 18 years, we have 60,000 to 40,000 to 60,000 people showing up in San Francisco. We're basically occupying all three, of the convention centers, Moscone Convention Centers, about 3,000 vendors, right? So what has really happened the last few years is the cyber security ecosystem and the threat landscape has, gotten super sophisticated. With that, the role of CISO has also become very sophisticated and very crazy, right? So I'm really excited to be a part of that panel that talks about some of that, elevated functions of the CISO, what they're up against, what are the bad guys doing, and what is it that we as a community need to do to stay ahead, right? Super excited to be, with CFD and CFF as a part of this delegation. Thanks, Val, and thanks to the panel here.
Excellent. Thank you, Sri. I'm really glad to also share that, Balbix is a sponsor for this event. So thank you, Sri, for being a champion of the work that we do. And your support definitely means a lot. I know your experience and your contribution is well, we value that, and sponsorship is just a bonus. So thank you again for making it happen.
Thank you.
Um, well, turn around into some of the topics that we're going to get into. I think starting with Norma, for you have been in the industry and and the public sector for so long. You have seen threats, challenges, and risk management across the board. In this in this agenda session, in this particular session, we're talking about managing risks associated with global supply chain and technology and innovation, especially with your current roles in advising, in the organization, plus also advising the public sector. What are your thoughts, and what do you want the audience to have a takeaway from this discussion?
Thank you, Val. I'm glad that I have this topic because it is actually one of my favorite topics in the world. And when I first started working on cybersecurity issues, again, 2005, I talked about risk to supply chain. And what we tried to do and continue to do in this evolution is to explain to companies in the business units, your supply chain, when we talk about cyber, is that interesting combination of both physical, cyber, and the people side of it. Now, when you said that in 2005 and then maybe 2015 and then in 2020, those meant really different things. Now, in this day and age, when we talk about supply chain security risks, we're talking about not just risks from pure cyber, right? We learned these issues and challenges during COVID when we first went into lockdown. And as we look at the geopolitical conflict that we have around the world, Ukraine, Middle East, and others, our continued near-peer competition with China and Russia and others has taught us that for all of our companies, and even the U.S. government and other governments, understanding really all the way through your supply chain, first, second, third-party providers, it's really critical for those who are running corporations or, again, governments to understand that in great detail. Now, a lot of people tend to sort of zone through that. What we'd like to do, I think, in the cyber community is change how everyone looks at these issues so that it's no longer a piece of paper and a little checklist that people, are giving to their vendors to understand risk. Risk is a two-way street. The other thing that we learned actually right after 9/11 was that physical security risk in a supply chain. And in one particular project I worked on, and we'll talk about more when we're in Davos together, is companies actually came together after 9/11 and said, we all use vendor X that's based in country Y. So as opposed to doing the same vendor assessments over and over, if there was actually physical inspections, let's partner together. The last thing I'm going to say that I'm really excited about, and Val, I am thrilled for all the work that you and CFF are doing, and I think this will be my fourth year, fifth, I don't even know. We've been since the beginning.
Stop counting after 3 or 4. Just
it's true, is helping people understand how to actually deconstruct a supply chain to understand risk is. And we'll talk about some risk management techniques. There are tools you can use to do that, but it's a wonderful topic. And, for good or for bad for us, there are things we can all learn from each other, both, from today and in Davos.
Excellent. Thank you, Norma, for the preview of the topic and the session. I'm sure we'll not give away too much on this one, but at least tease enough attention and excitement about the topics. Thank you, Joe. How about we move to you? I think you probably talk across any of these topics out there, but with your focus and the transition to actually helping people on the ground in Ukraine, I think that's incredible. Not only from a geopolitical, socioeconomic impact, but also actually making it happen on the ground. So please share the topic and why you're passionate about it, some of the background, and what you'd like folks to have takeaway from your discussion.
Yeah, thanks. As I mentioned, my topic is cyber during global conflicts. And, whether we like it or not, the world seems to be full of conflicts lately of a geopolitical nature. And I think it used in the old days, the conflicts between countries didn't really spill over directly to individual humans who weren't in the conflict zone the way that things have changed in the last 20 years because of the introduction of cyber. I mean, cyber has fundamentally changed the dynamic of how governments interact and how people interact with government, and kind of the global nature of the world. We used to count on our local government to protect us from crime, and we can't count on our local government to protect us from internet crime because the internet has just kind of erased all the barriers between different societies. It's really interesting, I think, right now, because we're so polarized in different communities and taking sides, we sometimes only see one side of what's happening. And one thing that seems to, I think, really be a false perception about, say, the Ukraine war is that it hasn't turned into a major cyber conflict. I've heard experts say things like, oh, the cyber war was a nothing burger. And I'm like, no, it's because your expectations and your attention to what's actually happening and the coverage of what's happening is off. If you're not paying attention, if you're not talking to people who are in the middle of the conflict, you're not aware of the types of things that are going on behind the scenes. Cyber war is unique in that it can happen in a way that most of the people don't see it happen. And so it's up to the parties that are involved in it to talk about it publicly. We're bringing together a panel of people who have those insights on what's really going on. And so I think we're going to get beyond that high level, oh, nothing, just because some cyber weapon hasn't spilled over and leaked into and impacted a bunch of corporations, doesn't mean that there isn't a massive cyber war going on in Ukraine. It doesn't mean there's massive cyber war going on in the Middle East. It doesn't mean there isn't massive cyber war already going on in terms of other conflicts, if we want to talk about things like Taiwan or so on down the line. And so I think that's what we want to get into and understand what's really going on, number one, and then number two, what can we do to reduce the risk of it spilling over into and impacting the rest of us.
Sure, so well summarized, Joe. I believe before even we saw the first weapon fired in the war, the precursor to that was actually cyber event, and people already took notice about that who was in the know. And now post almost 18 months or more, almost 2 years now, unfortunately, we are seeing there is a massive loss of human life and infrastructure and all that. But the ones that are not seen in the cyber world, I think needs as much attention, if not more. So thank you for leading this discussion. As some of you know already, that Kirill Goncharuk has been a fantastic partner for us from the private sector side in Ukraine. Will be joining us, and so will Michael J. Daniels, a really great expert in this particular field, and several others we'll see as Daniel joins us, and a few others in this discussion will make it as rich and practical as possible, because this is going to be long, and I think it's just not long in Ukraine-Russia frontier. We are seeing this across opening up of other frontiers, and not just frontiers, but also specific countries and geographies, right? Which I believe will have a deep impact on the life and livelihoods of many people. So thank you again for that further insight. Well, moving on to Sri, your panel. I believe it's another stellar panel that you'll be part of. Robert Rodriguez, our good friend, is going to lead that. I wish we had them on this preview, but definitely want to tap into you and your thoughts on how to equip the new evolution of the CISOs. It's too much expectation, too many pulls in different directions, not as much well resourced as much as you would like. And I think Joe being on that seat would probably vouch for that. Always wish he had more. So Sri, how are you helping that journey of the CISOs? Would be good to know from your vantage point.
Yeah. So no, thanks a lot for teeing that up really well. Right. I mean, I briefly alluded to, right. Most of us on this live session been around for many years. That we would love to admit, and definitely the security landscape and the threat landscape has considerably changed in the last 15 to 20 years. I mean, I echo the sentiments of Joe, how geopolitical tensions are basically bleeding into cyber warfare. Absolutely very important topics. With that, what has happened is the key persona that's responsible, or say that has the keys to the kingdom and has the responsibility to guard us from some of these issues is the CISO, and how that role has evolved over the last 18 years, right? And really goes back to that, right? When the world was much simpler, much better, there were 300 security vendors, and the threats were less complicated, less sophisticated, right? So a couple things that has impacted us over the last 20 years is the number of threats, the sophistication of threats, and the impact of those threats to the business. That's been a big driver of why the role of CISO has changed. One, not to forget the regulatory and the compliance pressures, right? I mean, we've actually seen the last couple of years come out with, the California Consumer Protection Act, the GDPR a couple of years ago. I mean, every time you pick up the dossier and the news, I mean, there's a new regulation that that we have to adhere to based on the jurisdiction, based on the world, based on the place that you operate in, right? So definitely, there's a lot of external compliance, external regulatory pressures that CISOs and companies have to adhere to based on the markets, based on the people that they serve. And then last but not the least, it's also the amalgamation of cybersecurity, or the integration of cybersecurity with the business outcomes and the business strategy, right? I mean, I think, so definitely I would say, at least being on the vendor side for about 18 years, it was much easier to sell to a technical CISO back in the day, right? But now, we have to, I mean, I've seen how those decisions have morphed, and how for the good though, right? And how tough and how complicated the role of CISO has now become, right? I mean, identifying cyber risk management as a core element, and then basically adhering to these, cyber compliances. A good one and a new one that just got added is the SEC regulation for reporting, right? So cybermetrics is a big point of discussion with our customers and our clients when we talk to them. So I'm super excited to be on a panel with some of those distinguished members and people of the community, CISOs included, and have a strong dialogue in terms of how the role has evolved. What are some of the new guidelines? What are the expectations? And how we as a community can come together. So I think the underlying key themes of visibility and automation, I think those are solid two pieces that I want to actually bring our community and bring our viewers to put some thought on, right? I mean, I'm super excited to talk about this topic because like Norma said, this is something that's very near to not just personal for me, but also professionally. This is what pays my bills. So definitely super excited to be a part of this panel.
Awesome. That's great, and great to have you, Sri, joining us for the first time, but not not stranger to the exciting and challenging things that we take up on the agenda. That actually is a good tee off to some of the logistics that I wanted to share with let this topic sink in, and then now let's talk about the actual trip, and then that's probably. The whole word or the statement of road to Davos is probably an understatement for those who have gone there and those who are figuring how to get there and stay there and survive the week, right? So just a little bit of around the way to Davos and all. So most of you, I believe, are going to make your way there either Sunday or Monday. And those are coming us with the CFF delegation. Some of them are staying with us in Bandra Gaz, and if you are staying with us, we welcome you in advance, and we'll be there on Sunday. I'll be personally there along with Catherine and our good friend Leah. there, along with a few other friends who are trying to get there early to get to get you ready for that, get us ready for that. And then on Monday we go down to Davos to do a little bit of assessment of the scene. The promenade is always an exciting place to hang out, and there are tons and tons of storefronts in the promenade, or even front doors of people and porches that have been converted to places that you would like to see and check out. We have a list of those that had participated last year, and please take a look at those. If we have special interest in any, probably we can just team up together and go. Our good friend Daniel here has put together a list of events that we can go to. So please feel free to ask Catherine for your link to that list. And Catherine or Daniel, we have a CFF CFD 2024 chat on WhatsApp, as well as in our members channel. If you have any questions, and I know you will probably have one too many, please make sure that you ask them. There is no single question that's a dumb question. If you're thinking it's probably too silly to ask, actually probably that might be the most important one. Okay, so go ahead and ask things about logistics, about getting from one place to the other. It is the peak of winter time, so please bundle up and be very, very safe. First, safety is first for this event. You have to survive the winter and the cold and the chill and the exposure for hours. So if you're planning to stay any longer than the event itself, please make sure you let friends know, okay, where your whereabouts, and this WhatsApp channel probably would be the best. Second thing is, if you're planning to use transportation, the public transportation, that's actually the best mode to go, but you have to plan ahead. Most of us are staying outside Davos, so we will be taking at least an hour to reach there. If you're driving from somewhere like Badragas or even Klosters, it may take as much as an hour and a half. And then, so for the day of the event, we have a shuttle available in the morning. It will be leaving Badragas right around 7:30, latest by 7:45. It's a one-way trip going and one-way trip coming back. So please pay special attention. For those who are going from Badragas with us, you have the shuttle. If you're coming by yourself, please join. Please arrive at the Shadzal funicular no later than 9:30 if you're planning to hit us on the morning, and we expect a full house in the morning. You don't want to miss the event being kicked off by Robert Rodriguez, and the team here, along with Sri on that panel. So please be there early. It takes about 15 minutes to go up the mountain, then check in and all that. So by 9:30, if you make yourself there, I think it will be a very comfortable rest of the day for you than rushing around. Okay. I know some of you have to actually go to the Congress Center or come back and forth. You have other obligations. Please factor in at least a 30-minute commute from one end of the promenade to the other, at least 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes to go up the mountain. So it's about an hour. So if you plan your Davos well, you will actually have the best time, and you will enjoy not only the event but also your stay. But that's why I say no question is out of the ordinary. You should probably ask if you feel that you're like asking, and that's why these channels are open for you. The second part is for how to get to the road to Davos is also flying and all. So if you're coming in on Monday or Sunday, please also let us know your arrival time so we can help coordinate some of the trips and get you to your destinations without any hassle. Now that's probably the hard part taken care of, right? Norma, let's start with you. Why are you excited about this trip that keeps you coming year after year?
Yes, and the road to Davos, as Val said, is it is complicated at times and it is lengthy. But you know what? Ultimately, in all seriousness, what I really like about what Val and CFF and the global team, because it really is a global team, and I think family that we've built together for some of us who have been doing this for quite some time, is the practicality of the issues that we're talking about and the types of people who come. There is nothing wrong with what I call the deep thought moments, that are good to think about really challenging issues. But for us in CFF and CFD, Val, I think what you have brought together today and in prior years are people who can do the both deep thought, but who are practitioners. And so as we talk about these topics, these are topics that we've all actually worked on or are working on every single day of our lives, and we have to solve problems. And I think, Val and anyone who has worked with me and knows me, that I tend to be very practical about problem solving. Because at the end of the day, for every problem that you solve, there are 50 others. And so what I really enjoy is that approach, but the robustness of the conversation, right? It is not too big. It is not too small. And we tend to learn from each other and we build off of each other, right? For even on the prep that we have here today and the time we'll spend together, both on it's actually the tippy top of the mountain. And in the promenade together is really a good learning experience for our everyday lives. And I know that the people, I and people, the Val, everyone who's here with me today, Shri and Joe, we actually care about the work that we do. And so we don't just show up in Davos, have deep thoughts, and then go back and do something else. We actually, take these problems and work on them. So that's why I'm excited. And, there is a little bit of fun along the way.
A little bit. We'll push it up the notch up this year. So every time we learn. But Norma, thank you for that. I think what you emphasize specifically on the action has always been important for us, whether we meet for an annual meeting or we meet in Davos at the tippy top of Shadzalp, and definitely love to do that again. Thank you, Norma, for being with us. Joe, this is your second time as well, or maybe more. So what's the exciting factor of getting up to the top of the mountain in the middle of the winter?
Yeah, for me, it's about the fascinating group of people that come together. It's such a blend. It's different from any other kind of conference or experience I've been through. And I think it's important for us to be there, as cybersecurity focused people for two reasons. One is to do our job well. Like Norma said, we need to have that kind of perspective of all the different people and the world that we're trying to serve. And so if there are people from different governments around the world, there are people from the private sector around the world, there's people from nonprofits, and it's a chance for us to listen to them and have them influence how we think about cybersecurity and kind of like expand our aperture. But on the flip side, it's also a chance for us to be an advocate and remind everybody else there that cybersecurity is an important global priority. We too often in the cybersecurity world are off on our own at our own conferences, only talking to ourselves. And we're not going to succeed in securing the world if we just do it by ourselves. And so we need with the World Economic Forum and things like that, there are kind of different topics that kind of seize the day every year, looking through this year, it feels like one of the major topics is going to be around artificial intelligence. There's just a billion panels on artificial intelligence. And I think we have a point of view on artificial intelligence in the cybersecurity community that we shouldn't just be talking at, our one day event. We need to be out all week talking to everybody about cybersecurity and the importance of it, and reminding everyone else in every other conversation that's happening in Davos that cybersecurity is fundamental. And there isn't a topic that's going to be discussed at Davos that doesn't have some layer in the undercurrent of cybersecurity being relevant. And so for me, it's that opportunity to have conversations at a broader perspective, both, getting their feedback on what we're doing and also reminding them of the importance of them always not forgetting what we're doing.
Very true. And I think, that eclectic combination definitely sparks new curious moments and thoughts for us to actually solve for than just thinking to ourselves what we know and what we do. So thank you both. And Sri, hopefully this is great for being a sponsor on this panel, and then probably just can send you the invoice for 2025 and be done. So you're coming here for the first time. I know you had a lot of questions. What about your expectations, Sri?
Oh, and no, thank you, Val. Right, thank you for letting me be a part of this, esteemed set of people. You know this. I've always wanted to go and spend time with you and folks in the bone chilling winter. But just that stars have to line up, and this year seems like they did line up, right? So apart from sending Val and Catherine at least 10,000 questions in the last 1 week, because like I said, I'm going there for the first time, not don't know what to expect. So maybe I'm there for a awakening or a very pleasant surprise, right? Not from the perspective of the of what CFF is actually put together, because there is definitely a lot of things that I really am passionate about and like. Tuesday is a slam dunk for me in terms of trying to spend time with people, in trying to spend time with people that are making some policy decisions. Cybersecurity is front, right, center for a lot of our customers, for a lot of your customers. So hearing it from the practitioners firsthand, I think that's definitely a lot that I'm looking forward to. But outside of that, like I said, going there for the first time, so look forward to definitely hanging out with all of you guys, with Val, and then just make the most out of this, right? So that I have a very good reason, to follow Norma and Joe's lead, or going to next year and coming back, right? I think a good that is a testament to the fact that these guys have actually done something right year over year over year, that brings them back to Davos and brings them back to come back with you, Val, and the organization CFF. I personally and professionally have been involved with CFF for a few years. I've done the summit and all that with you, but this is the first time I'm actually going to do this with you guys, and hopefully, I get a lot, back from this effort and experience.
For sure. No, thank you, and I appreciate it again. I think the goal of this get together is to make sure that we actually make the best of the collective intellect that we have, and not only within the CFF community, but also those that are visiting. If you look at the agenda, as well as the folks who are contributing to the agenda in terms of the discussions, I think you will see a fair amount of that influence in the agenda, right, as to how you have. So, I see some questions popping up here, especially one I see from Steve around, around the logistics around train and all. So, just a reminder that there are two stations in Davos. The one that you want to get off is Davos Platz, the main station. And from there, you can walk up to the end of the promenade. It takes about 30 minutes easy. Okay. Beyond those 30 minutes, I think there is the security zone. I typically would not recommend you to go to the other side of the security zone, just because it's too hard. You have to go around. If you plan a day on one side of the promenade on one, and maybe the other side of the promenade on the other. That actually it's better. Whether the day you are going, if you want to spend the Monday just to lay up the land, Tuesday spend the event through the day. Tuesday evening we have some get-togethers and all. Please look at the registration pages for those. They're all independent events, and please bear with the changes. Like one of the things that is so common in the Davos agenda in general for everyone is that there are so many last-minute changes, and you cannot set things around too far. Okay, so please bear with people if they cannot accommodate you, or they just open up a registration and you just take that opportunity and keep yourself a little bit flexible. You get what you put into it. So Tuesday is pretty much locked down here in the morning till afternoon, and evening you go enjoy yourself around the Schatzalp side of the venue or the promenade. Wednesday you can go to the mid section, and then Thursday, if you're staying there, to the other side. If you want to hang out, a great place to hang out on Wednesday and Thursday is the Migros on the other extreme end, on the security Congress zone of the promenade. You'll actually run into a lot of celebrities. You'd run into a lot of executive leaders that you typically won't, in generally in other events and conventions. And those conversations, please open yourself up. People are very, very open, regardless of what badge they're wearing. If you see someone wearing a white badges, they're typically the members. who have paid $1 billion to get into the Congress, but you'll actually have a great access to them outside as well. And people are very, very friendly when you get there. If you are planning your day, around the other parts of logistics, you'll have food across the promenade, so food is not a problem. And there are so many, shows, lunches, and all of that going on. But if you want a quiet meal somewhere, sometimes Migros is the best place. Just go in a corner, or the Coop, the COOP. If you're going for the first time, the Coop next to the Davos Platz is the place to go for a quiet meal. And you'll again run into some folks that you never had, and I think you'll enjoy. So hope I answered that question that Steve you had. You'll be just again, please feel free to share more questions if you have in the channel, and people who have been there before will answer. Back to the Davos dialogue topic, I think we are going to have a very, very tight day. So please bear with us when it comes to getting everything locked down in today or by tomorrow latest. I was trying to make sure that Tuesday morning we lock down the agenda, but I still see there are some changes coming up because of the other meetings or just pure logistics. So please again be I think we are a very nice and gentle and kind bunch, but when it comes to scheduling, we have very, very demanding schedule of each in our own personal calendars. So but please bear with us when you have a few changes, so you can accommodate people's actual physically getting to that top of the mountain. Okay, so Davos is the top of the mountain, and then you have Shadzal, which is the top of the mountain. Beyond that, I think I cannot emphasize more on safety. I think be very, very safe, bundle up as much as you can, wear very comfortable snowshoes. You don't have to put on a boot. If you want to put on a boot, then make sure you have wool socks and get those spikes underneath it. But still, there is absolutely no way to dress down in that winter. Just be safe. And there are many things that I probably just go over and over again, especially with regards to safety. But as you get yourself up to Shadzal, we're going to kick off at 10 sharp, because we have to vacate that place by 3:45 and go to the reception area for the networking session around 4. And we definitely want to be very respectful of the next event that's going on. The Shadzal team does a phenomenal job in turning that place around for the next guests and next organizers. So please, we will try to make sure that we are respectful of the time, and we'll go like a clockwork, and you will really enjoy and hear out everyone and their sessions. So please feel free to join us on that WhatsApp if you haven't already. The links are available with Catherine. If you don't have the links, just invitation links, ask Catherine for that, or I can share. And for those who are making the travel, I think people are traveling as early as tomorrow, Thursday. So we would wish you a very safe journey onwards, and can't wait to see you in Davos in real life. Meanwhile, please reach out to any of us who have gone there before, can guide you, or those who haven't. Feel free to ask questions. Any closing thoughts, Norma? And then we'll go to Joe and Sri as we wind this up.
You know what? Just a couple quick ones. At the end of the day, we are going to Davos to really, as we've all said, learn from each other, share experiences, and then focus on core action items. But there is, okay, Val, a little bit more than a little bit of fun. But it is, I will say this, it is important to pace yourself. You should not, attempt to overcommit, because at the end of the day, you want to have some insightful conversations. And the one thing I've always been struck by, and Val talked about this, is how friendly everyone is in Davos. You will be standing next to a complete stranger who will turn and just put their hand out to say hello and to get to know who you are. And that's, there's great value in that.
For sure. Thank you, Norma. Joe?
Yeah, I would echo that. And something you said, which was don't worry too much about having your schedule completely locked down in advance. I actually go in the opposite direction. I want to undercommit because I want to have the flexibility to adapt as each day goes on, because I know and what Norma said is spot on about people are so friendly. And it's those serendipitous interactions that I had last time that led to some, invitations to the best presentations and best meetings. And I think you want to go into your day knowing it's going to be a long day, having comfortable shoes and clothing that you can adapt to walking outside in the cold, but also being in a very stuffy room full of people. And so you have to be able to adapt, but have the strategy of, hydrating. And because we're at elevation, you really got to hydrate. And so if you're warm and you're hydrating and you're open to talking to people that you've never met before, you'll end up having some pretty unique experiences that you wouldn't have otherwise, and you'll find the best things. And I sometimes have found that the topic that you know the most about, or that, like, don't assume that the best thing that's going to happen is you're going to get together with a bunch of people in your field. You actually might find that the depth isn't as deep as you wanted, but your opportunity to interact and connect different fields together is better and can happen at the right level.
Very true. Thank you, Joe. Sri, any parting thoughts before we take off? Actually, gonna get on the road to Davos.
No, I mean, no, thanks a lot for all you guys who've been there many years. The couple keywords that I'm going to take away is, keep it fluid, keep it serendipitous, good things happen. Good things happen to those that are not expecting at the most unexpected time. So I think that's what I'm going to take away from. One suggestion I have for all you folks who've done this, a couple times, many times in the past, is to take an active participation on the WhatsApp channel. I mean, I just joined yesterday, so if there's questions, for one, logistics and otherwise, I think that could be a good place for us to all hang out and create, like you said, Norma, notch up the fun a little bit. As we get to Davos, we can actually start it here. We don't have to wait till Davos. So getting to know each other a little bit more. So I basically, for my part, I just said who I am, where I'm coming from. If there's folks that are going from San Francisco Bay Area, I fly United. I'm a slave for United, so I'm actually flying United to London, and from there I'm actually going to Davos. So if there's folks that have the same itinerary or what have you, I'd love to meet you, have a drink at the airport, what have you. Right? Again, super excited, super looking forward to meeting all you guys in less than a week now. Val, if you realize it or not, I mean, next week by this time we'll actually be done with the day. So super excited, and looking forward to be a part of this initiative by CFF and CFD. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, I absolutely love it, right? Make the journey as much memorable as the destination itself. I think we'll enjoy every step of it. I can't wait to see you all. So again, thank you for joining us this morning, afternoon, or evening, and sharing some of your thoughts and excitement, as well as readiness for going to Davos and getting on that road. Thank you once again. Have a great rest of the day. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.